Well, good morning. My name is Mark. I'm a campus pastor with a group called Catholic Christian Fellowship at Berkeley. My wife and I have lived in Berkeley for the past couple of years, and this morning, Pastors Earl and Janet are out of town, and they asked if I would share this morning with you, so I'm happy to be here to do that. And this month at 360, we've been going through a series about faith and culture, and this week we're going to be continuing that. I had a video clip to show, and it turns out it's copyrighted, so it's not going to be able to show on the projector, but real quick, let me just explain it so you can imagine the video clip sort of in your minds. And it was a little clip from a show called The Little House on the Prairie. And in the clip, the dad, he's been working hard, the family's just moved, he's been plowing the fields, and he's just so tired, and he gets home really late, and he'd promised his family to take them to church the next morning. And they're all looking forward to going to church together as a family. And as they're getting ready to head out the door to go to church, the dad is just passed out, and he is not going to make it to church that morning. So the family goes without him to church, and at the end of the service, the pastor gets up, and he sort of starts to make these remarks, and he says something along the lines of, "I'm very distressed this morning to see that, some people have not come to church this morning. I see wives without their husbands, and I find this so distressing because something along the lines of church, this is where God is." And he just has this disapproving kind of lecture that he gives the congregation. When I think about that clip, I just find it so funny because in some ways that's often how we treat church. We think of church as this is the place once a week where God shows up. And if we miss this opportunity, if we sleep in, if we're late, if we're tired, we're going to miss the point in time where God shows up to meet us. And it makes me sort of wonder to myself, where does God live? Where is he? Is he only here when the preacher gets up to preach? Is he only here when the worship team is worshiping? Is he only there when we're having Bible studies or prayer meetings? Is that the only place that God shows up? Where does God live? If you know me a little bit, you'll know that I love going to the movies. Movies are just one of my favorite things. I'm not talking about like the good movies or the Oscar-winning movies. I'm talking about action movies, superhero movies, sci-fi movies, all the big dumb ones. Those are the movies that I like. And I even read a blog about them. I just love them so much. But sometimes I wonder to myself, does God like movies? Is that something he's interested in, or does he just think that's just a total waste of time? Why go to the movie when you could just be spending those 2 hours praying? And I think about there's so many things that we like to do, or that there's so many things that happen outside of the four walls of church. What about books? Does God like books? Novels? Comic books? Does God listen to music? If he does, is it country music or rap music? Or does he just listen to Mozart? What does God think about music? I think, what does God think about all these things that happen outside of Sunday morning church? What does he think about them? And this morning, we're sort of going to be asking this question: where does God live, and how can we find him? And we're going to be looking at a passage this morning that takes place in Acts chapter 17. And just a little bit of background. The Apostle Paul has been traveling around the Mediterranean world, telling people the good news about Jesus, how he lived and how he died and how he was raised from the dead to bring us new life. And he arrives in the city of Athens. And the first thing that happens is he walks around the city and he sees that it is full of idols. There's just people worshiping all different types of gods. And it says Paul was very distressed at all the idols he saw. And what happens is he just begins to share with people about Jesus on the street. And he sort of catches the attention of the authorities. And he's forcefully brought to this place called Mars Hill. It was a council of kind of basically the Supreme Court of Athens. And he was brought there to be questioned by the people about what he was talking about. And the thing you need to know about Athens is Athens believed itself to be a very special place. They thought that the gods had created them specifically out of the soil of Greece, and that they were this special people. And sort of the implication of that was they did not like foreign gods. They didn't want to have anything to do with foreign religions or these foreign religions coming in to teach their people. They did not want any foreign gods in their city. And so Paul he's forced to explain himself in front of this Supreme Court of Athens what is this thing he's teaching in the city. So let's read Acts chapter 17, and we're going to start at verse 22. Men of Athens, Paul says, I perceive that in every way you are very religious. For as I passed along and observed the objects of your worship, I found also an altar with this inscription, To the unknown God. What therefore you worship as unknown, this I proclaim to you. The God who made the world and everything in it, being Lord of heaven and earth, does not live in temples made by man, nor is he served by human hands as though he needed anything, since he himself gives to all mankind life and breath and everything. So basically, Paul, he gets up, and the first thing he says to the people of Athens, he says, I see that you are very religious. I see all the idols everywhere I look. You are worshiping a different God. And Paul's kind of in a bind here. He's not supposed to be preaching about any foreign gods in the city, but he finds a loophole. He says, as I was walking the city streets, I found an altar, and on it was written, To an unknown God. This is a God that you people of Athens, you've already been worshiping this God. You've been praying to this God. And basically, you guys you're so prepared. You made it so that just in case there was a God that you happened to miss, a God that you forgot about or you never heard about, you made an altar to this God just in case, that if you ever heard of an extra God, that you would already be prepared to worship them. And so he finds this loophole, and he says, I'm here to tell you about the unknown God. I'm here to tell you about this person that you've already been worshiping. This is not a foreign God. This is someone that you already know about in a little small way. I'm here to tell you about the unknown God. And I just find it so interesting how Paul starts off his talk to them. He says, I see you are very religious. He doesn't say, I see that you guys are pagans worshiping idols. He says, I see that you are very devout in your religion. He starts off by building a bridge to the people of Athens. You know, and I think today, if Paul were to somehow to slip through a wormhole in time and end up on the streets of Berkeley in the 21st century, I don't think he would see many idols in the streets of Berkeley. I think if you were to walk around and start talking to people on Shattuck Avenue, I think he would come to a different conclusion. I think he would say, people of Berkeley, I see that you are very knowledgeable. Everyone seems to know something about something. Everyone I talk to has a view on politics or religion or science or the future. Everyone in this town seems to be very knowledgeable. I see you guys on the Google net just searching up things that no mankind has ever thought of before. You guys are just so knowledgeable about everything. I think that's what he would say about this city. You know, when I think about what mankind knows today that they didn't know in Paul's time, we just know so much that has never been known before. And one of the areas that fascinates me the most is sort of our knowledge of the universe. We know so much about space and planets and stars and the universe, things that people before us had just never had any clue about. One thing that we know is what the universe is made up of. You know, when we look up at the stars, astronomers tell us we're only seeing about 0.5% of what's out there in the universe. Stars and the planets surrounding them, that just represents 0.5% of the universe. The rest is something else that we can't see. We know about 4% of the universe is just helium and hydrogen just kind of floating out in space. It's not being lit up by any stars, just out there somewhere floating around. And the rest of it is just weird stuff that is hard to explain. 25% of the universe is dark matter, which I've yet to figure out what that is, but it's out there. And close to 70% of the universe is dark energy, which is sort of this invisible force that sort of holds the galaxies together and keeps our planet from just flying off into the middle of space. It sort of keeps us all together in our galaxy. And the stars that we look up at, that's only 0.5% of what's out there in the universe. The rest is invisible. The rest is stuff that is almost beyond our comprehension. The things that we think of as you know, everyday things like mountains and clouds and reality show contestants, the things that are not stars that we think of as like matter, that's just 0.01% of the universe. The things that we think of as the universe, that's just a tiny fraction of what's out there. 99% of it is stuff we can't see, can't touch, can't even understand. Paul says, God doesn't live in temples made by man. If God is not contained by this 0.01% of stuff, then where is he? Where does God live? And how do we find him? Another question that fascinates me is the question, are we alone in the universe? Is there intelligent life out there? And if that seems sort of like a silly question, you have to wonder why one of the biggest efforts on Earth to find intelligent life is based right here at UC Berkeley. Here, researchers have been working since 1979, the past 35 years. They've been searching for intelligent life in the cosmos. Just this year, Berkeley began using a powerful radio telescope in Puerto Rico to scan the heavens for any sign of life, and they want you to use your computer to help them calculate and search the data to find if there's any aliens out there trying to communicate with us. If you think this is silly, this is your tax dollars at work trying to find intelligent life out there. And you know, if we ever want to talk to aliens or intelligent life, probably our best bet is to look right here in our own galaxy, just because the vast distances of space make it so hard to get anywhere that if we want to find aliens, it's probably going to have to happen in our galaxy. The thing about our galaxy, we live here in the Milky Way, our galaxy is huge. It's 100,000 light years across. If you had a spaceship that could travel at the speed of light, it would take you 100,000 years to get across it. It's just massive. But luckily, if there's a chance that we can communicate with intelligent life, our best bet is to find life on a planet that's close to us. There's some planets that are about 1,000 light years away from us, so potentially we could maybe talk with them. So there's just one problem. Even if we were to receive a signal from intelligent life on a planet that's close by 1,000 light years away, that means that they would have had to send the signal to us 1,000 years ago for it to get to us today. And if we get their signal, we're somehow able to decode it, and we want to send a message back to them saying something like, "Hey, we're here, come get us." It would take 1,000 years for that message to get back to them, which in turn, if they somehow have created a spaceship that can travel fast enough to travel at the speed of light, it would take them another 1,000 years to come over and for us to finally shake tentacles with them. We are thousands of light years away from being able to talk to E.T. The galaxy is just too big. I mean, you think about when we look up at night at the stars, we're not seeing stars. We're seeing an echo. We're seeing light that has traveled thousands of years to get to us. I mean, some of those stars that we look up at, they may not even be there anymore. They could have exploded or turned into black holes. We're just seeing the faintest echo of something that is no longer there anymore. Space is just too big for us to comprehend. 99% of it is stuff we can't even see or detect. Paul says to the people of Athens, he says, "The unknown God, he's not contained in temples built by human hands. He does not fit into our concepts of space and time. He's just too big for our human-sized ideas like temples and churches and movie theater buildings. Nothing can contain the unknown God. He's bigger than the galaxy. I mean, whenever we think that we understand God, when we have him pinned down, he just keeps escaping our grasp. Nothing can contain the unknown God." Paul continues in his speech to the Athenians in verse 26. "And he made from one man every nation on mankind to live on all the face of the earth, having determined allotted periods and the boundaries of their dwelling place, that they should seek God and perhaps feel their way toward him and find him. Yet he is actually not far from each one of us." Paul tells the Athenians that the unknown God, he has placed us here on the earth. He decided how long we would live for and where we should live. And he did this so that we would seek him and that one day we would feel our way towards him and find him. So what is the point of all this? The point is so that we would feel our way towards God. You know, when I look at human culture, when I listen to music that moves me, when I see beautiful paintings and architecture, when I eat a delicious sandwich that was delicately prepared for me, when I read the poems of T.S. Eliot, or when I tear up at the end of Toy Story 3, what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling is I'm seeing mankind feeling their way towards the unknown God. I see us grasping at something that's bigger than ourselves, I see us reaching out for something that we can't quite see and that we can't quite touch. Every time that we create something of beauty, every time that we advance our knowledge of what is possible, every time we choose to believe that the universe is meaningful and not meaningless, we are reaching our way, we are feeling our way towards the unknown God. You know, when we think about Hollywood, I don't think we think of a particularly spiritual city. I mean, if you go to Hollywood, you're not expecting to find the Pope or Billy Graham. I mean, if you go to Hollywood, you want to see Robert Downey Jr. You want to see some movie stars. This is a place, you know, it's about the movie business. It's about fame and fortune. You don't go there to, you know, as a spiritual pilgrimage. You go there to see movie stars. But whenever I go to the movies, whenever I watch a movie, I keep seeing the same thing. I see superheroes sacrificing themselves for the greater good. I see romantic comedies where people are searching for true love. I see science fiction films and I see them asking these questions about what does it mean to be human? What is our role in the universe? I keep seeing, you know, these same things over and over again. Hollywood is supposed to be this godless, moral wasteland, but they keep making these movies that are so spiritual in nature. They keep looking to the stars and grasping for things that lie beyond our understanding. You know, I really think that every city on earth has an altar to an unknown God somewhere. Every culture has the capacity for spiritual things. Every civilization on earth is searching for a deeper significance and a deeper meaning in life. Everywhere I look, I see people searching for the unknown God. They're reaching out for something that they can't quite see and that they can't quite touch. And I think here in Acts 17, Paul is saying to the people of Athens, God has put us here on this planet, at this time, in this movie theater, so that we might feel our way towards him, and that one day we would find him. This is the goal. This is the plan. The unknown God wants to be known by us. The creator of the universe, he's not far away. He's not on the other side of the galaxy. We're not hoping to receive a signal from him and wait thousands of years to finally meet him. The unknown God is not far from us. He's very close. And Paul says, to each one of us. He's not far from each one of us. He's right here in front of us. You know, when I think about what it means to go to church on a Sunday morning, I don't think this is where God lives, and he's nowhere else. I don't think we are here to find God. We're here because we're already found by God. We're here because God has already made a difference in our lives. He has already touched us and found us. We're not here because this is the only place that we can meet him, and we have to wait the other 6 days of the week to finally talk to him again. We're here because God has already revealed himself to us. You know, the people of Athens, they didn't know who the unknown God was. They just said, unknown, and they worshiped to him, they prayed to him, but they had no idea who he was or if they would ever find him. And Paul says, I'm here to tell you who the unknown God is. And when he continues his speech, you could just sum it up like this. His name is Jesus. This God that you've been searching for your whole life, your whole civilization, you've been reaching out for him, you've been waiting to find him and to touch him. His name is Jesus. And you can know him. He's not far from any one of us. And Paul goes on to just explain the gospel to him, to the people of Athens. He explains how Jesus was born of a virgin, how he lived a human life, and how he was ultimately crucified on a cross for the sins of the world. But 3 days later, God raised him from the dead so that we can now have new life through him, so we can have forgiveness of our sin, so we can be made new creations in Christ. Paul goes on to explain all of this. The unknown God, his name is Jesus. This person that all along you've been searching for him, all along you've been worshiping him, and you didn't even know it. He's not far. His name is Jesus. So where does God live, and how can we find him? We don't have to go find him. His name is Jesus, and he's already found us. Tonight, I don't know, or not tonight, this morning, sorry, I'm used to preaching at nighttime. This morning, I don't know where you're at with God. Maybe you've walked your whole life with Him. Maybe you're just getting to know God for the first time. It doesn't matter. He is not far from any one of us today. And there's nothing you can do to run away from Him and separate yourself. Through Jesus, God is drawn close to us. Through Jesus, we don't have to strive and work hard and build giant satellites and radio telescopes to find Him. God is not far from any one of us this morning. I just want to say just a prayer for us this morning as I close. God, I just pray this morning that you would just draw very close to us, not because it's a Sunday morning and we have our church set up and we have banners outside, but this morning, God, you are close to us because you have revealed yourself finally through your Son, Jesus. Through Jesus, we can know who you are. You are not unknown. You are not far away. We don't have to strive our whole lives to find you, God. You have already found us. This morning, I just pray, Lord, make yourself known to us. Help us to just walk with you, not just on Sundays, but the other 6 days of the week. Would we reach out and pray to you? Would we reach out and just walk hand in hand with you? You don't have to be far away, Lord. You are right here with us this morning. We thank you, God. In Jesus' name.